Holy smoke, she is hot. It's hit about 95, 96 Fahrenheit before, and the sun's starting to creep down now. Look at how stuffed this is. All the splits in it. So she ain't going to last for long term. Turns out that there under the skirting board, flashing rather, is actually two boards. So yeah, it's, I'll probably have to pull that last little bit out or snip it back a bit. But you can do that on the day anyway. I might do it later on. Whatever. Anyway, she all ain't going to last too well. She's looking all pretty sad on it. All grey and everything. It's lucky it's lasted as long as it has. Anyway. Got to get in and work out the stuff. It turns out it's 147 inches I've got to do to get right into that corner, which sort of it didn't go right to that corner, but whatever. I'll probably have to use two pieces and then I'll be sort of able to slide them to the right size. We'll work out what size it's going to be when I rip those two boards off. And yeah, well, this old wood has got a lot of sap joins, and some of the sap joins, I think that's what they call them, sap joins or something like that anyway. And it's in some of the framing wood of the house too, which isn't the best, but you know, some of these things where they just sort of, a lot of this is just hacked straight out of a forest, you know. It's sort of very spot on, but a lot of cobwebs and rubbish. You've got to clean all that off. There's a little drill anyway. I better get to and start doing me improvised sheet metal stuff. Toby Cat's there. Turns out he spends most of his time under the house, trying to avoid the heat. Kitty feeding. It's funny when they all get on her, the whole lot of them start purring all at once. Makes quite a flaming noise. Oh, buddy, you don't walk off like that on her. You always do. If I walk past, you get distracted and try and follow me. Anyway, better keep powering on if I'm going to get all this done today. It's one of those days where it's that blooming hot. Alrighty. I said at one point I'd show you guys how to do this. This is the few strips I had, probably left over from doing the laundry. Being cut with an angle grinder on one side there. And then sort of just had the burrs rubbed off either side. Yeah, bastards are getting a bit of a bow in it because I've had a few ripples in it and that. It wasn't so great. And basically, couldn't, I might have been able to find a big bit, but I wasn't going to stand out in the sun to do this. It will drag a big bit in. And probably would have had to cut straps to get said big piece. So I used two little bits here. And yeah, basically lean this over, marked it 40 mil in, which is at 1 5/8, and then just basically try to follow the line. I've got this thing where I can give my fingers like that, and I can just go boom, and then I'll have my two fingers together, and then as this is still all on the same angle, then you just slide your hand in toward this until you feel your bottom finger is there, and then you know you got it right, and then you just basically start hammering down, and you've got to do it from one side across. Unfortunately, this has had a few little ripples in here, and then I've set it up like this and try to bang them out, and I've sort of got myself a bit of a curve in the bloody thing, which isn't ideal. So yeah, but all the same, I can still get that into place because it's going to have nails or maybe even screws go through this. I'm going to have to do a bit of a game of putting up the first weatherboard and then sort of maybe trying to sit this in place and put up the first weatherboard at the same time or something like that. I might even have to use angle grinder to notch out any nails that I put in to hold the first weatherboard, which I could probably just get on by putting one either end. So it wouldn't really be a problem. And yeah, then slap all this in to place, and then I could just have this sitting like that above the corrugated iron, but it's not going to go like that because it'll go and flap in the wind all night, and I've seen it happen before with other people's houses when I was building pergolas. So I'm most likely to come along and go zoop, zoop, and put a few holes in it and put in me 1/8 inch rivet into the corrugated iron. Once the corrugated iron is up, it's something that I have to put in one sheet and then sort of, you know, screw the sheet in and then lean over and screw this down and sort of so on and so forth. Yeah, got to do this one. I should be about right. I might be, you know, an inch or two short of what I need, but we should be pretty right anyway with these two. And I've got sort of one larger size one like this, maybe another inch or two wider, that's sort of, yeah, a little bit, needs a lot of hammering to flatten the ripples out of it on one side, and I've got another one probably half the length of this, and that other bit that I was going to slice up I haven't even touched. There's whole larger sheets out there, and of course I can cut those up at a later point in time when we go to do the second lot of gable. Alrighty. Here's the second one. Dumbass and Co. Got it the wrong way. Actually, I'm about to use the wire brush to clean that paint off. It's nice and cool now. I mean, it's like bloody 6:30 or more. You know, you got to wait quite a while till things cool off. Anyway, yeah, I'll heat that up probably with the wire brush and give it a quick spray, just in that section at least. That one's come up like a beauty. A little bit wobbly there. At least that one didn't bow like this bloody bitch did. Yeah. Father and me had a disagreement about the way it works with saws. Just trying to point out the fact that this goes to 45, but we've got a 30-degree roof, which would work theoretically if you go and whack your weatherboards in like that. He said it wasn't possible, and we're going to have to all do them with a circular saw, which is probably a better way. But if we go to 30 and you whack them like that, then you'll get a 30-degree angle there. That's the thing, unless your roof is 45 or steeper, you can't really do it with this. Unless you go like this, you can't do it like that, unless it's 45 or steeper. And yeah, 90 degrees would be a brick wall, obviously. Be directly vertical. But anyway, I'm glad he did point that out. I mean, I was didn't want to hear it at first, but yeah, we should be right. I've actually got two circular saws. One's crap, one's good. This one, and if all else fails, I've got the reciprocating saw, but I don't want to come to that. So yeah, should be all go for Monday. Just got to get a few more screws and bits and pieces, and yeah, then we can charge on. I think the bottom weatherboard is going to be shitstorm, and I'm probably going to have to do it with screws in case I need to retake this out, and then like bend that to a different angle, you know, give this a bit of a tap to widen it, flatten it back down or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I'd better get on with doing this painting while the sun's still up. This day has dragged out longer than expected, but it's one of these things, you know, it actually got to about, 95, 96 Fahrenheit, and you just flatten trying to work in that, you know, and you try and hold off everything to the end of the day, and you end up, you know, having to get up early to do some, blundering around during the hotter part of the day, and then go flat out before the sun goes down while it's cool, which it now has dropped to around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So, yeah. Going well, eh? God blimey. I don't know what I look like, probably not very good. Oh, that crap up my nose. Yeah, you're right, it's probably lead paint too. A lot of this, shouldn't be swallowing any of this. I'll try and spit it all out and blow it. Don't eat now! Donate to clean my friggin' proper respirator that's sitting in there but stinks like shit because I didn't clean it out properly. Anyway, just go a little bit there, just basically this little bit and that one there. You see where the roof was collapsed and sort of, yeah, sags a bit. Yeah. Father's telling me, get these out properly so we can measure if the end's 30 degrees. I'm going, I know it's 30 degrees with me fancy bloody Japanese tool. Look at the friggin' things that crack the shit out. Shit, they're stuffed. I want to take them all off neatly so then we can measure them and copy them and put them back on. But the house is sagged. Like the bloody... Look, there's a split of the shit out. So you're going to undo those and they're going to crack to bits as I'm doing them, as I'm trying to pull them off the jemmy bar. Bottom one's already taking the liberty of cracking itself to bits, and the top one's got that many cracks through them, they're stuffed anyway. Anyway, my God, clear me bloody throat out, gargle a bit of water and blow my nose before I finish that bit. Oh God, choked up all this crap. Some of it come out, some still had a bit of the... Funny thing with the paint on this, like it hasn't been touched since bloody World War II or something, but some of the paint, even though it's old and crumbly, it is stuck on like something chronic. I must tell you, the old Milwaukee, like, you got to sort of keep the brush on it, because if you don't, next thing you know, you sort of clonk and you think, shit, this is not doing the gearbox any good. But I'll tell you what, that is only 12-volt drill, and by hell, the power in this thing is brilliant. Look at the bits where it did come off. You can see the wood grain in great detail. You know, and that's the original colour wood too. I mean, it's getting a little bit dark, so you can't see how nice it looks, but it's like a blooming western red cedar or something like that. It's really quite nice. Here she sort of rotted a little bit at the top, so I'll try to flake it out a bit here. But this isn't in too bad a shape, to be quite honest, considering the friggin' thing was probably milled in the 1800s. Typical of my family, there's bloody nails all through everything. I pulled enough nails out here already. And, yeah, give that a good coat of paint to try and seal it up a bit and we'll be right. But as for now, I'll go and clean myself out a little bit and do this and then get the paint sorted. What are you doing, kitties? Tipping my paint tray over kitties. Be even funnier if if one of them tipped it over with paint in it. And given the way these lot are, you know, you give them 20 minutes and it'll probably happen. If you put the paint tray in the right place or the wrong place. Depends on how you're looking at it. Depends on what you're aiming for. If you're aiming for paint on the cat or on the flipping building. Anyway, I have to put it up here. And got me rigid edge, you know, super duper bloody $1.20 brush. And these are good, these actually. Most people go buy a proper paint tray. These are like just little thin ones, disposable, little, oh shit, like $2 each. You probably get them at the dollar store in the States. And yeah, you get such a little brush on the side and all that. And yeah, I got this roller. According to the brother-in-law, rollers are rather expensive. Oh yeah, that's right, I stuck it up here. Keep little noses out of it all. They would have been clawing the damn thing if they had sat in the grass. It would have been full of dirt by now. This was from, well actually, Paint the Cardboard House, I think. Yes, it was too, because I had to get right out in the middle of the blooming roof, and I was like, whoa! Because, you know, like, you don't want to lean in too far on a cardboard roof with minimal wood supports, and the fact of the matter is, you don't really want to lean into wet paint that you've just done up the sidewall either. And this, yeah, worked out pretty damn good. Fortunately, I kept it in the laundry in a right spot, and no dust got in it. And unbelievably, I must have washed it out pretty good last time. Anyway, that's the same original paint tray and everything. Hasn't gone brittle because it's been kept out of sunlight. Yeah, so anyway, may seem a bit overkill just doing a little bit here with a roller and a bit there and blah blah. Oh, I've cleaned this as well. But, you know, the fact of the matter is the sun is feeding fast, and I'm supposed to, you know, put at least one coat on, if not two. So I'll go fast, and might be putting on one rather early tomorrow morning or something like that. We'll see how we go. But if I stop waffling and get on with it, I might get both on tonight. If you guys remember this one, 1926 sixpence rather. It's an old one I found in the remains of all the sheep shit and random bits of stuff that had been shoveled out of the floor of this house, which was about a foot deep with sheep shit. The kitchen and where the solar fridge is, that's new floor. My bedroom and the other room that I keep all the tools in is original floor. And that coin come up in amongst all that when I was out there picking out all the nails and bits of glass and other stuff to throw in recycle and scrap metal and whatnot. However, I've just been pulling the trims off the front here. I'm all dressed up in me friggin' parachute rig, whatever. Just got rid of the flashings, and there's another 2 bits of wood over there that were trims there. Got to bend back the corrugated iron to get the barge board out. I thought it was one. Oh, no, yeah. Originally thought it was one piece. I realised when I showed you guys the other day it's actually 2. And it turns out that, yeah, the thingo sandwich in between them, the corrugated iron sandwich in between them, because they didn't have flashings. They just used to come to the end and then just bend the actual sheet over. Anyway, it's not a Chinese coin. You notice you said a little bit green on it. It's brass. I could see letters. I can see a dimpled rim around each side, and I tried to hack out what the letters were, expecting it to say something pence or whatever. But then I sort of remembered that a lot of the coinage here, I mean, we were one of the last ones to go off silver coins. The last silver coin we had was in '66, and it was 50% silver, as they all were from 1946, I think it was, onwards. 50% silver. Due to the cost of trying to pay for World War II, they zapped a fair bit of the silver out of the coins, and well, they just, you know, gave you more of something else, and probably nickel. And before that, it was all sterling, 925 and 7.5% copper. But this is brass because it's green, and I, sure as eggs, I can see something there, orange something or other. And then I see bigger letters, and I worked out what the bigger letters were saying, and it's the name of a town not too far by. You know what this is? Privately issued currency. The joint may have gone bankrupt, or not, or whatever, and maybe it wasn't worth jack shit, worth a fuck all anyway, and essentially it's a token. But it is privately issued currency. There's a lot of them that appeared with a symbol on the back, which is 2 sheafs of wheat tied together and Advance Australia written around the outside. And then on the other side, you'd have the place and the shop that it come from. And this is the side with the place and the shop, because I can see the town name there. And that is going to have something on there, and a lot of them had the Advance Australia, the 2 sheafs of wheat, but there were several other different types as well for the back. This was just banged out and handed out by people due to a shortage of currency in the 1800s, because we were still running on British currency at the time, and we just didn't have enough in the country. I mean, we were exporting more fucking gold than you could choke a donkey with, but we still didn't have enough actual physical coins. So they reverted to this.
And that was when one man's word actually meant something, and you could use this stuff. But obviously this wasn't worth too much, and they ended up using it as a packer in between one of the nails and the outer board. So she looks pretty bent. I don't know if it was bent before or it was bent in an attempt to make it wider or what, but yeah. They improvised with anything and everything, including privately issued currency, to do whatever they needed to do when they were building this house and all the other 7 different chicken pens, hog pens and everything else around here. Now the sun's over a bit better. I got a better look at that coin, and it's the same as one my father's already got. And it may have the Advance Australia thing on the back. It's some sort of a thing on the back of something or other Australia. And yeah, you know, it's the same as a good one that my father's already got. I got a feeling they might have gone broke or something if we got a couple of the same one. Sometimes, you know, it mightn't be worth much, so you just use them for a washer. Anyway, all this is off. Notice it's sort of strange. The central one, you got 2 there, 1 there. Looks like it's missing one. There's a lot of stuff about this house. It's sort of a bit odd. Back in the day, they were a bit hard up for wood because a lot of the wood was used propping up all the gold mines, and these old houses only have to be built to be equal to the standards of the day, and the standards of the day were pretty much nothing. Whatever the carpenter reckoned was about right. And of course, carpenters then, it was not a qualification per se, it was a trade that was just handed on from father to son, and you're sort of in the guild or something like that, but it wasn't an actual qualification as such. And at a later point they made it a qualification because everybody should be able to have a trade, and we should just not hog it as individual families, or individual families shouldn't hog a trade and then demand high prices. Yeah, so anyway, he's gone back to get some short weather boards that I obviously missed, and then we are going to get fired up and cut these things. Fortunately, I don't have to move the generator. The frickin' thing's about 35 kilos, which that equates to, I don't know, 75 pounds or some shit. I hate carrying the bastard, it's so heavy. So he's going to cut the weatherboards nearer to where those sheets are. Weatherboards nearer to where the generator is, and then just carry them around, which probably means I'm going to have to move all these ones behind me. Yeah, very circus-like arrangement with the way it was set up. They had sort of an inner plank, and you can see that that's sort of bent over, and I've been folding most of it up. Had an inner plank, and then a bit of 4x2, and then another piece on top of the inner plank and the 4x2, and then the roof sheet was bent over and nailed to that 4x2, and then instead of just nail, as they have on the other side of my bedroom, well, they did, I've since put flashing on there, but they just bent the roof sheet over and whacked nails straight in to that 4x2 and left it at that. What they've done is they've gone and put those planks in and then slam nails through the planks and through the roof sheet and then through the 4x2 to sort of hold it at the end. And that was, you know, how you've done it before the days of flashings. Flashings I took off earlier on, and they're sitting up in amongst the valley gutter there. That's all chogged to the shit house of bloody cypress pine leaf as usual. All the stuff just blows straight onto the roof. And yeah, try to get some out and actually push it down to the downpipe, so I'm going to have to disconnect the end on the water tank, otherwise the water tank's going to be full of cypress pine shit, which it pretty much is already anyway. And you wonder why I don't bother drinking off the roof. There's nothing really wrong with it, but, you know, add to that lead washers on the screws on the roof, and I haven't drank that unless I've actually put it through a proper carbon filter. Yeah, if we had normal rubber sealed screws on the roof, and we didn't have so much cypress pine on there, I probably would drink the water that was out of that. And I have, but you know, put it through a little filter, carafe filter system, like one of those jugs with a carbon filter built into it. That was when I was first here, and now I just run into the big water tank. Anyway, better refuel this generator and get ready to get on the go. There we go, little basil sprouts coming up. A little mister I spray them with, keeps leaking water, and sort of, now it's making a creaking noise. I think she's about to break. Doesn't matter, I've got two more. I'll use it till it snaps just so I can chuck the friggin' thing out. Pretty good for a dollar store mister anyway, the blasted thing's... Shit, when did I get that? 2009 or something? 2010? I can't remember. There we go, people. Instead of piss farting around with shakes and taking forever to do any siding, I did take forever to get to this, I will admit. But it was going to be a shitstorm because I had to take down the bloody half the veranda to even get to it. And we got to it. And the top one's on an angle, I know. Yeah. Used some, plenty of nails there, but bullet heads, and you're not really supposed to use bullet heads for... Bullet heads are more for framing stuff, and you can use bullet heads, but you're supposed to use flat ones for cement, sheet, and any other sheeting related stuff. And I took a look at these thin little weatherboards and I thought, well, you're sheeting related. So a bit of it's done with galvanised flathead nails that weren't really that long, and the rest of it's done with galvanised 40mm, which is, what's that, 1 5/8 wood screws. Also galvanised, as I said. Don't want to go using brights outside and then they go and rust, and technically it's not up to standard, but then again, neither is the entire friggin' house. So I've still got to nip a little bit up there. I got some of the other little pieces that were hanging over of batten because they hung right out to where the 4x2 was and all that, and then there's a few screws I've got to nip there. While I'm up there, I'll probably undo that connector that I've filled up with bloody shit and try and empty that out. Lo and behold, see your beam there, that one disappeared years ago, and it's probably half the reason that all this is warped and collapsed, because it was missing one. And you got the rest of the battens there with the nails just hanging in mid-air. So anyway, I am most likely to actually continue to demolish this so that I can put in, so that I can then clean all this shit out, like as in get all the shit paint off it with the little Milwaukee and the wire brush thingy that I stick in the end, and then put another one of those up, then put another battens in, hopefully almost the full length, and then paint those battens plus the extra beam here plus all of those. But I've got to wipe those with a wet rag first because there's a bit of dust on them. We tried to get some of the dust off, some of it didn't want to come off, so I might be up there with that same little crappy mister bottle trying to dampen it all to wipe it. And yeah, then give it, I was going to give it one coat of paint, but on closer inspection that's only an undercoat and it's very thin. The cream you can see there and that white. And so I'll give it 2 coats along with all this. I want to try and do all the painting all in one hit, so I'll piss around with everything else first, clean all the rubbish paint off that, put new battens in, then paint the battens, the beams, the whole shebang. And I've probably got to make up a little bit of galvanised metal just to go on that top piece there, just to fill that little bit in. And that will be that for the day. And the next day, hopefully, I'll get up here in the early morning and snip all those, the tin snips. and then put the flashings back on. If you get up there now, it'll burn your hands. It will burn your hands. I've experienced all that, and as you might have seen at my sister's barn there, you drip water on and evaporates off before you know it. And I mean, it is seriously hot to the point that you just don't bother getting on roofs unless it's flaming early morning or late night. And so I'll do that tomorrow. And then probably start putting the roof sheets back on here, and that little flashing that goes under that weatherboard. The bottom weatherboard's all done with screws, so I can loosen it off a bit if I want. One of which, first bloody screw I put in, and snapped the friggin' head off. I couldn't believe it. Pull that bastard out, and I'll put a bit of silicone in there when I do the rest of the roof sheets tomorrow. I got some of these that are out there, way out there, in a pile, from when. Well, it's from when there was a veranda right around this place, and yeah, they're all identical length, and so I'll go on, and they're all actually flat like those ones, but not that one. So I'll go and whack all those on, and then get the silicone out, and in all of that, of course, that little flashing that goes there and comes out and covers it, I'll do that. Rivet that on, silicone all that up, and yeah, then today's Monday. Come Friday, we're going to get in and do this side here. We may be a little bit short on weatherboards. We may have to use that crappy one that my uncle left in the paddock that's all right, but could be better, just for one of them, because we may be short of one board, possibly. And if we got, what is it, sort of 3 or 4 longish ones, there's a total of 7. We've got a few short ones. Hopefully we don't have to use that pink one, but we might be forced to. But we'll get it done. Just. Not a great excessive amount, but, you know, we will get it done. And, yeah, I'm glad this is happening, because it's something that really needed to be done, and it just sort of like, you can turn a blind eye to it, but if you keep doing that, before you know it, there's going to be, some of this internal framing is going to be rotting, and going to look a little bit like this outside board sort of looks, if I just keep ignoring the fact that it probably needs replacing. Here's one of the boards here, as you can see. You know, they're all right, but they're sort of, you know, starting to rot, and they're all split, and a bit of friggin' lead paint still on them, and, you know, they're warped like a bloody banana and that, and, yeah, there comes a time where you got to get into these things. There is, I don't know if this will happen, but I thought there's only one, but it turns out there's about 2 or 3 boards on the back of the house that need doing, and I may just have to go and buy some of those for another time. That might be a next summer job, because they're not too bad, and I actually drown the bastards in paint for the purpose of trying to keep the crap boards to continue on. So, but yeah. Anyway, I've got to have some kind of lunch, and long story short, water the trees that should have been done a while ago, and yeah, back to it. This has been a not so bright idea fire-wise. Take the kettle off and stick it straight on a cardboard box with a bit of paper on it. Been doing that for a long time. It's occurred to me I may actually want to use a cardboard box to store stuff in, or that I just generally probably shouldn't be using it for hot items. And going to set up a little rack there. Father just come over with a lot of these are sheet metal, but some of them are sort of a bit better than sheet metal. And some of them are like homemade, and some are stainless steel. This is all stuff that my grandfather made, and that's a flat one. And yeah, so I'm going to try and make a little rack up on the beside the stove there. I got a bit of oh, you know, that mesh. Where is it? sort of sheep crate mesh. It's folded up about 4 times over, so I'll get a bit of that. And that obviously, pretty big squares, but that should hold me stuff without a problem. And I think it'll be good, because I don't really like the idea. That's sitting on the hearth and, you know, near the wood stove, which isn't a terribly good idea either. And I like to actually be able to put my foot on the hearth there while I'm cooking, as opposed to sort of being rammed in to the small space on the wooden floor in between the in between the hearth and the table. One other thing I forgot to mention, you may notice these aren't painted. That one's got the solar cables on. But anyway, I'm going to probably replace it. I've got to pull those off, obviously, and I've got more saddle clips inside. I'm most likely to replace that one, and most definitely that one. And if we go up close, should have paused the camera. You know, I could put stupid supports here and blah blah, but at the end of the day, it's cracking like shit. It's still skinny, and I mean, it's as old as frickin' hills. You know, there's a bit of a gap there too. I have these 3 what looks like telephone poles of treated pine, which you guys might have seen in a video a little while ago on my firewood. There's also another bunch near the old white cortina that's full of kindling. There's these treated pine posts that are probably, what would they be, 5.5 foot at least, something like that. I reckon I could get those, and using the reciprocating saw, notch the bottom in, dig a hole, put a stirrup in, which a stirrup's like a big hunk of channel with a bit of pipe on it, and you drill a hole in or whatever, and you put a bit of all thread or weld a bit of bar in, and that sits inside your concrete under the ground, and then your stirrup is above the ground. And if I cut those round posts with a reciprocating saw, I can notch them in basically to fit in the stirrup, and then you use those there, and then you notch the top out the same way that's been done. And you know, they're already been outside for years, and they will last many more years because they're treated pine, and I'll slap some paint on them as well, and I'll have new front veranda posts that actually look like they're going to friggin' last for more than 3 years. So that'll probably happen to that one. That one, I don't know if I'll do the N one or not. There's probably no point because there's so much stuff attached to that anyway. You probably never noticed it, but the whole lot's all enclosed on this end. That, honestly, that piece there, looks like a flap that used to be able to be moved in and out. This is all odds and sods and scraps and craps, basically from, well, basically the Depression was when that was put up there. So, yeah, anyway. I also got the front fence posts out. Fence posts. One there, there's a hole there, and there's a hole there. And they were sitting at ground level. That one's upside down, and that's the bottom of that one. They were sitting at ground level for ages, and I was just standing there today waiting while he's cutting some weatherboards, and I just said, I'm going to see if I can just grip the top of them, just the top little bit, and try and pull them out. And sure as heck, they both come out, which is a little bit odd, but I'll have to get a shovel and just put a bit of sand in to fill the holes up. Isn't that right, little black kitty? Isn't that right, you little tiddler? Eh? Oh gee, he's getting warm. Stick the other one, lo and behold, number 6. That was green yesterday. So they're supposed to get, you know, some of them I've had it bigger than that, but they're apparently, what is it now, 30 to 50 mil, or 60 mil? Like 1 inch and 3/8 to 2 inches and 3/8 or something like that as a maximum, but usually not more than about 2 inches diameter. So yeah, the first few I got off the other plant were actually really big. I just realised there's another little one there too. Oh, this one's getting alright too. That won't be too long off, I reckon, in a couple of weeks and should fire. Bloody little kitten was trying to grab hold of this the other day. Started playing with it. I thought, you little prick, you just snap the bloody thing off and I'll lose a big chunk of me 100% of the bean just because you just felt like tearing it off, you little turd. What do you reckon, eh, pussy? Haven't seen Tabby Cat today. These ones have been even walking around as we're putting the weatherboards up. They come out from time to time and a little meander around. Alrighty, I don't know how I look, but I know how I feel. Oh, I feel like I got hay fever. Yeah, that's right, peoples. And I've just been blasted away with a little wire brush thingy, a little Milwaukee, floating the 4 amp hour battery, and I've gone halfway through the 1.5 amp hour battery. Just basically getting there's one there's another one above the pipe that you probably can't see, it's hidden by the pipe. The top of this, a bit of that post there, bit of weatherboard. That took bloody ages. Oh, and that one there too. That took ages. I was blaming away for about 45 minutes on that shit. It all comes down, I don't know if you can see it. It all comes down and sits on the solar panel. That one's covered in it as well. You go along the top here and it's all just streams off. And, yeah. Long story short, I've still got to get up with a reciprocating. Got to get up with a reciprocating saw and just trim that little bit in there. And yeah, must admit it does look a bit stupid out. It's on an angle. Anyway, only realised that when it was actually going in. Beams you can see. Might be able to just see one there and one there. They're new bits of wood, or bits out of my grandfather's that are basically unused. So I've got enough from there to there, from there to where I've got to put one there, which I probably won't tonight, and from that to that one. Don't know if you can see, you might be able to see a notch out there and there. So I've got 2 separate notches, different from those other ones. Those other ones are straight, they're old, but they're straight. Little touch of rottenness which I've blasted out with a wire brush, but really speaking, just sitting in that little patch there, I don't have enough to replace them. And I'm sure I've got more over there. There's another one there, but it's warped and split a bit, and it's probably worse than what's up there. So yeah. Anyway, I've got to go and nip the end of that off. And if there's any screws in the way, then I'll take it with the angle grinder as well. Then tomorrow, I can come out with the old tea towel and wet it and get all the bloody dirt stains off that. Then go and paint everything. And then maybe later on, as the sun's going down, like this time tomorrow, I'll be able to trim all that with the tin snips and put those flashings back on. And yeah, I cleared out that thing as well. Fortunately, didn't get into the main pipe, which was good. Where that U-bend goes, that U-bend actually has a sleeve that fits inside that, and it's like a foot-long sleeve, so anything was going to be caught going down there would probably still be sitting in the sleeve, and it was all just in the U-bend, so, and the 90-degree bend. So anyway, I don't know if you can see this one. All the flame and dust. I just blew all this off here, and it's all still covered over there. Oh, God. Nasty shit. Give me flaming hay fever, just like it did when I done this one. Anyway, I'll go and chop that off, and I think I'll call it a day because I'm full of dust and not feeling terribly great either. Well, yesterday afternoon it sort of suddenly changed temperature. It was sort of getting pretty warm, and then all of a sudden sort of wind started and it just became really cool, which was quite nice. I forgot to mention that. All the kittens are hanging around here. There's a bit of plastic out of the ground. I just pulled that out. I'd say that would be scrap metal of the day. Holy smoke. Some sort of a pulley. Don't know if it's cast iron. Probably. Most likely. The damn thing's in pretty much perfect condition. The stuff you pull out of the ground. Kittens had been running back and forth and fighting, and they'd sort of bared a bit of the ground. You might see a bit of the ground. There's bared sort of there. And of course they'd bared a part of this. It was like that. So I thought, I'll pull this out, and just kept pulling. Thought, this is pretty big. Got my hand under, and woof, out she comes. So there we go. Oh man, it's heavy. And I dare say that's probably got may even have a practical use in the future. They've got a couple of notches in there, keys or whatever you call it. And they've gone and threaded them and everything, but I'll keep that because it may actually have a use. And if not, holy smoke, it's heavy and it's very old and not stuffed up in any way.